In a fishbowl discussion, students seated inside the fishbowl actively participate in a discussion by making questions and sharing their opinions, while students standing outside listen carefully to the ideas presented. Students take turns in these roles so they practice being both contributors and listeners in a group discussion. This strategy is especially useful when you want to make sure all students participate in a discussion, when you want to help students reflect on what a good discussion looks like, and when you need a structure for discussing controversial or difficult topics. A fishbowl discussion makes for an excellent pre-writing activity, often unearthing questions or ideas that students can explore more deeply in an independent assignment. The procedure for a fishbowl is to first select a topic. Almost any topic is suitable for a fishbowl discussion. The most effective prompts, questions, or texts do not have one right answer or interpretation, but rather allow for multiple perspectives and opinions. The fishbowl strategy is excellent for discussing dilemmas. Next, you'll need to set up the room. A fishbowl discussion requires a circle of chairs, like a fishbowl, and enough room around the circle for the remaining students to observe what's happening inside the fishbowl. Sometimes teachers place enough chairs for half the students in the class to sit in the fishbowl, while others limit the chairs further. Typically, 6 to 12 chairs allow for a range of perspectives while still giving each student an opportunity to speak. The observing students often stand or sit around the fishbowl on the outside. After you set up the room, you'll need to prepare for the discussion. Like many structured conversations, fishbowl discussions are most effective when students have a few minutes to prepare ideas and questions in advance. Then you'll need to discuss the norms and the rules. There are many ways to structure a fishbowl discussion. Sometimes teachers have half the class sit in the fishbowl for 10 to 15 minutes before announcing switch, at which point the listeners enter the fishbowl and the speakers become the audience, and the students change places. Regardless of the particular rules you establish as the teacher, make sure they're explained to students beforehand. After the discussion takes place, the last step would be to debrief. After the discussion, you can ask students to reflect on how they think the discussion went and what they learned from it. Students can also evaluate their performance as listeners and as participants. They could also provide suggestions for how to improve the quality of discussion in the future. These reflections can be in writing, or they can be structured as a small or large group conversation.